Today I just wanted to share a few quick thoughts on the animated classic, The Nightmare Before Christmas, the 1993 animated film. So once again, as a child, I did watch this film, but for some odd reason, first time I saw it, I actually thought it was just very dull and boring. I'm assuming it's just because I really didn't get the whole premise of the film. And I believe it was about 3 or 4 years later, still as a child, I rewatched it. I enjoyed it a lot more. Definitely got a lot more enjoyment out of the film. But it's been roughly over 10 years since I have not watched the film. So it's definitely been a long time since I've seen this. I recently did rewatch it. And, you know, it's definitely something by this point that is very familiar to me. But obviously the thing that sticks out with me the most are the songs, obviously, because this year I had the bright idea of listening to the Nightmare Revisited soundtrack. So I've been listening to that literally since September all through October, so I've pretty much got all of the songs cemented in my mind. But it was weird rewatching the film this time because I have, you know, the voices of everyone else stuck in my head, and then just hearing the songs in their original form is just kind of like, huh? Yeah, I know, just a really weird tangent there, but you know, so definitely the songs were the most familiar to me this time around because, as I said, it's been roughly 10 years since the last time I saw this. But the film is definitely enjoyable. I definitely do love the characters as well as the designs, you know, the bright colors. There really aren't too many soft pastels. I guess you could say they're more bold colors that are used in this. So I guess you could say it's very unfair to try and compare it to Corpse Bride, which uses a lot more softer colors, not necessarily pastels, but they're definitely softer shades. They're not, you know, magentas and harsh purples, you know, these bold colors that just jump right out at you as they are used in Nightmare Before Christmas. So they're two completely different films, completely different feels, but obviously within this one, as we're all familiar, we have Jack Skellington, I guess you could say the Pumpkin King, who has pretty much just tired of Halloween Town, just always celebrating Christmas, pretty much just year in and year out, and he wants to try something different. So he's stumbled across, I guess you could say, this Christmas land, and he has the bright idea, well, let's do Christmas this time and try something out. Essentially what winds up happening here is that Halloween pretty much takes over Christmas and they spookify it. And this has always been just, I guess I could say my confusion is when Jack comes back from Christmas Land, it always feels to me like he wants to do his own version of Christmas within this Halloween Town rather than leaving that land, going into Christmas and pretending to be someone he's not. So obviously that's the main issue here with Jack is I wouldn't say it's an identity crisis, but he's definitely bored. He's tired of the routine. He craves something different. And, you know, that's I guess you could say very normal for all of us. It's just, you know, you get tired of being stuck in the rut. You want something different. But I guess you could say the main lesson here is, I guess you could say, acceptance, being comfortable with who you are and accepting who you are. Obviously, Jack Skellington has no problem with being the Pumpkin King, but he craves more. He wants something different, and obviously his role within Halloween Town no longer fulfills him, so he wants something different. And one of the things that had been left out of the film is the epilogue. Obviously, after everything's been set right, Santa, in the epilogue, years later, visits Halloween Town. He sees Jack with a brood of his own little skeleton children, and he kind of asks him, you know, if you knew things were going to turn out the way they did, would you have done everything the same? And Jack just kind of looks at him and says, wouldn't you? Which, you know, he obviously has no regrets. He learned his lesson, but, you know, if he hadn't had that experience, he wouldn't have learned from it, and he always would have just been wishing or hoping for more. So I guess you could say essentially, even though things really didn't quite work out with, how things went awry when Halloween Town tried putting on their own production of Christmas, he learned that, there really is no possibility in trying to be something you're not. You have to be who you are and be comfortable with and accept that. That's, to me, what this says. Maybe I'm just reading into it a bit much, but that's my interpretation of the whole thing. I believe the epilogue is included in the special features on the Blu-ray edition. I'm not too sure if they're on the DVD, but they also do mention that epilogue as well. But it's definitely on the soundtrack of the film as well, at least on the Nightmare Revisited. I'm not too sure if it's on the extended version of Nightmare Before Christmas, because I don't own an original version. I just kind of have like the revamped. But that's pretty much just my takeaway from this is, self-acceptance, or being comfortable in your own skin with who you are and not trying to be something that you're not. But yeah, I mean, those were just kind of, I guess you could say, my soapbox thoughts on today's film. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys today, and I will talk to you later.